everybody, it's Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast, and this is the final episode on Galatians, Season 5, ends today, and I'm sad to see it go, because I've always loved this book, but I love it different now than I used to love it before, because I thought I knew what I was doing, so I picked this book, because I was like, I think this is an important one. I think I can help people understand God and the Bible better. And then we started working on it, and we got past the intro part and into the actual meat of the book, especially the middle few chapters. And I found it to be quite humbling as an experience to turn on the microphone and talk with you about it every day for over a year. And I feel like I learned a ton, and I appreciate this book better now. That's why we do it, right? Because we think this is valuable materials. I mean, if you're like me, you think it's from God and that it's worth our time and attention. We want to make it a part of our daily rhythm. And we did that, and it worked on me, and I'm the host. So I guess that's a giant win, and I will miss Galatians because I've enjoyed being in this orbit. Geographically, I've enjoyed being in this orbit of the Bible. I've enjoyed hanging around with Paul, but we don't have to be done with Paul because the next season is on Philemon. And so, I'm really excited for what's next. I'm just going to miss Galatians. This has been great. Today, since it's our last conversation, I want to go big picture. And I thought since it is our last day on Galatians, I brought my close personal friend, Jeffrey Foote, in. And Jeff, can you make a grunt or something so that everybody knows?
Hello.
Oh, that was far better and more sophisticated than a grunt. Jeffrey.
Yes, sir.
We're landing the plane. If after all of this experience, there was one thing you could draw a giant red circle around in our conversations and be like, hey, if you forgot all of the other things and you don't remember any of the fart jokes, remember this one thing. That's the biggest, most importantest thing from Galatians. What would it be?
I think it's got to be 2:20, the theme of the whole book. I've been crucified with Christ, so it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live, I live by faith in the one who loved me and gave himself for me. The idea that no one can be right with God by human effort. It's the work of Christ given to us, and then the Christian life is the life of Christ given to us, not the Christian trying harder through works, but by keeping in step with the Spirit to bear his fruit.
I mean, dude, that's just kind of Christianity.
Yeah, it's amazing how they got it wrong so fast and how easy it is to get it wrong.
I just think it's interesting when you put your words to it, which you're saying the same thing I am, but you're Jeffifying it.
Sure.
When you put your words to it, the way you summarize, like, hey, if you just remember one thing, it's Christianity, because that's what you just said. That is rich, thick, creamy, basic, essential, biblical, gospel Christianity. So I guess then what you're saying is Galatians has the whole message, the whole Christian life, the front end, the middle, the back end, all of it is in Galatians.
Yeah, and especially as opposed to we do the stuff to earn God's favor. What have you taken away?
In summary, the most basic thing is just the clown hammer point that Paul hits again and again and again. You cannot come away from Galatians imagining there are two ways to right standing with God and to the Christian life, to life by the Spirit. There is one way. There are a billion wrong ways you could choose from. And even in the thing I did yesterday, where we kind of did the quick overview of what the early church did with Galatians in response to heresies, they used Galatians to fend off 100 different mutations of this, 100 different false versions of the gospel, but all with the one singular way that is there. I mean, it's like the Dr. Strange holding up the one finger, like there's only one way. We've run a billion simulations for how to have right standing with God, but there's only one.
Right.
But the interesting other side of that is how much more I've thought about why I want to do kingdom values, why I want fruit of the Spirit in my life. And to some degree, it's fear, and it's always been fear. I mean, God is judge. He's real and he's true and he's the king of everything and all of his judgments are right. And I can't use my golden tongue to weasel out of anything with him.
Right.
I can't negotiate my way out of trouble with him. He sees to the core of it, and whatever his judgment and assessment is of what I did and why I did it is true. That is terrifying to someone like me, because it means everything about me is laid bare, and my best defense that can serve me so well when I'm wrongly accused, or even sometimes when I'm rightly accused, it's not going to work on him. Yeah, I've been reflecting on why I want to obey God and have the fruit of the Spirit manifest in my life more. And some of that is born out of fear, but a lot more of that is born out of, I want to look like what I am. I mean, I'm not even sure that's like a complete thought. Some sort of internal drive toward consistency.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like, well, if I am a Christian, I would like for there to be evidence of that.
And I think some of the history deep dive, or at least the connection to Acts, was helpful for me in a similar way. Like remembering how he got beat up at all these cities, and then the mob followed him to the next city, and then when he's done, he goes right back through them again, and then the letter, which is a harsh letter. This was really, really hard for Paul to kind of get this center-cut Christianity planted and to bloom in Galatia, and do I take it for granted?
Yeah, and it was hard for him to internalize it in the first place. This guy's not untouched. He's living a complicated life. He happens to be right by the power of the Holy Spirit here, but it's hard for him.
Well, and the story about Peter in the middle of Galatians. Peter knew the right answers. He preached a great sermon on Pentecost, and he still needed to be reminded in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And I find that very encouraging.
Even there, if the system that we had in place was that right standing with God is a result of me being a really good Christian boy who knows the right ideas and says the right phrases all the time, if we think that's how right standing with God happens, then Peter didn't have right standing with God around the time that he had that dinner table incident. But obviously Peter had right standing with God during that time.
Right.
He was just wrong, and his right standing with God was because of Christ, not because of Peter's perfect behavior at every dinner that he ever went to.
Even when Peter messes up at the dinner party, the solution isn't do these 10 works and you'll get back to where you used to be. The solution is go back to faith. Go back to how you got here.
Yeah.
Paul and Peter don't have that conversation, but Paul and the Galatians do.
Same question I end up inevitably asking everybody who I talk deeply with and respect about this kind of thing. And I'm genuinely asking, this isn't a podcast tee-up question. Faith. Okay, so that's the thing. That's the heart of it. And yet my experience with faith, actual human talking here, is not linear growth. I had a spectacular couple of months of faith up until about a week ago as we're recording this. I don't know what the heck is wrong with me this week. I don't know. Nothing happened. Stuff just feels off. And my track record tells me that in terms of faith and trust in God, that it probably won't feel that way next week. I don't know. Maybe it'll be longer. I don't know. But you're right. Clearly the takeaway from the book is don't double down on works, double down on faith, but also sometimes I don't feel that intuitively at all. What do you do with that?
I think that's what kind of the second half of the book is about in connecting with the Holy Spirit. That the faith that saves you has saved you, whether you feel it or not every day. But as you're going through the journey, you're not going to feel it every day. You're not going to always be on top of the mountain. You're going to have times of doubt. You're going to have times of numbness, of being in the wilderness. I mean, we all do. We're going to have times of sinning when we know we shouldn't. But who you are isn't determined by what you do or how you feel. It's determined by what Jesus has done. And the Holy Spirit reminds us of what is true of our identity. So when we can connect with him or reconnect with him, it helps us through the drier times, which is probably more normal this side of heaven anyway. Like, I think doubt is okay. The flesh is going to be weak. But if the Spirit is there, and if your spirit is willing to connect with the Spirit, then you're on the right track.
It's interesting that you said the word doubt. Sometimes I deal with doubt, maybe not in like the general sense. I've been there. I can say that. The word you used that resonated more with me was numbness. Now, there are people sitting on this conversation for whom doubt is the thing. For me, the numbness thing is what does it. Them trying to do things that are useful, good, redemptive, keep my head above water. And then a week or two is gone and you just have this moment of, what am I doing at all? Like, what is any of this? I don't think this is what life by the Spirit looks like, but I remember vividly the fruit of the Spirit and stuff that feels like life by the Spirit from 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, those little ebbs and flows seem to happen, and maybe I've had enough of them that I don't quite panic as much anymore. Like stuff's good, dude. Nothing's wrong. I mean, we talk almost every day, things are great, but numbness, that's the word. And then I read these last few chapters of Galatians. Yeah, I kind of feel like something is off.
Maybe that's why those verses are there. I think if we all just batted 1,000 on life in the Spirit, we wouldn't need like half of our New Testament. And we're in great company too. Like Paul is the guy who said, don't be anxious about anything. But like 2 pages before, he was saying, my friend is so sick and I'm having sorrow upon sorrow. I'm just so anxious about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think linear is the way it's ever going to work. I think the ebb and flow is part of the journey. And I think life by the Spirit's always going to be a little subjective, right? Not quantifiable, because we're all different. I think that's a feature, not a bug. And I really think that's kind of why these verses are in here. Paul's not trying to make a theological point just to make a point. He's trying to help his friends.
Yes. I hope that came through in the season. I think sometimes when I talk about Paul, he's such a rhetorician. It's easy to think in terms of he's trying to win an argument. And he is. And I mean, I think of him that way because that's how he holds himself out. But he cares about these people. And he is trying to help his friends. And I don't know if I ever said that phrase or if it was uttered on this podcast in this season until right now, but you're right. He's trying to help his friends. And you're picking up what I'm putting down. I mean, I hope it benefits other people too. But this is kind of a rhythm I need. Yeah, some days it needs to be like this. A lot of days I just need to think about what it's doing so I know what I'm actually dealing with. And I need to just keep doing it again and again and again and take a chunk of time every day to think about it. I mean, it's like learning Spanish or Italian. If once a month I sit down and I hit language really hard, it doesn't work. But when I'm doing the best on language work, it's when, it's just 10 minutes a day. Just build it in, just drill some of these things that have been slipping a little bit on the Spanish and get that back together. And you're also right when it comes to numbness that Paul felt that crap. I mean, how many times have we talked about the second missionary journey? He leaves Galatia and goes to, wherever he is at, technically Phrygia, Asia, and nothing works. Just doesn't happen. Prevented from preaching. And that one, it turned out, was actually ordained by God for some larger purpose with what would happen when he got on to, Philippi and Thessalonica and stuff. So I don't know. I can't always see the awesome thing on the back end, but when you do a season this long, it's interesting because there are pockets of great fervor and enthusiasm in the actual life that is unfolding during that season. And then there are pockets of just kind of, like in Master and Commander, when they're just sitting out there in the middle of the ocean, there's just no breeze, just doldrums. Like, here we are, but we still got to tend to the ship and we're going to do it and we're going to have fun and we're going to do our best.
So can I be bold and speak for a big chunk of our audience? The history deep dive stuff that you always kind of apologize for doing, you don't have to. That's an amazing piece of all this that even somebody like me who has spent his life trying to master the Bible, it still blows my mind when some of these connections get made historically. Like, I didn't know Troas was Troy until this season. Maybe I should have, but I didn't.
Huh.
You never know what's going to jump out at somebody.
Yeah, that's encouraging. I really like doing that stuff. I was joking about it a couple episodes ago. I mean, well, you heard it. You edit the thing. But I was joking about the stuff about like, we're going to do 300 episodes. And am I just stalling? No, heck no. I'm rushing.
So we're moving to Philemon.
Yeah.
What kind of intro music are you hoping we have?
We need to signal to everybody that even though we're going to talk about the abominable institution of slavery over the centuries and that we're doing Bible deep dive history stuff, that we are going to have fun. We are having a blast with this. So you need to screw around with this one. It needs to be less serious than Galatians. Way less serious.
Something catchy.
Yeah, dude, not everything you write can be bonus episode. It'd be great if it could.
The bonus episode happened in like 4 minutes. So maybe I shouldn't try hard. Maybe I should just, let's go. Let's see what happens.
Bonus episode, you were driving home from whatever, your taco place or whatever it was. And you were like, what do you want for this? I'm like, just have it just say what it is. It's a bonus episode of the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. I didn't expect you to literally make those the lyrics to the song. Just for everybody, like, I don't know how into music y'all are. I don't know how much you're into the technical side or the theory side of music. But Jeff isn't like goof around good. He's legit good. He isn't like guy who picked it up and kind of bangs things out and, oh, that sounds good, but I couldn't tell you why. Nope, he's fully equipped to teach college level courses on music theory. He knows why it works. And you've written very profound, very important things. You're prolific. You've composed a ton of stuff, performed a ton of stuff with fancy, impressive people in cool, impressive venues. And I just want to apologize personally to you that your most beloved, most well listened to composition ever happened on the way home from the taco place and took you 4 minutes to compose and is the bonus episode song. It may you somehow transcend that at some point, but it may just be your all I want for Christmas is you. And I'm so sorry for that. Okay. Galatians, putting a big fat red bow on this whole thing. These are the themes that I touched on briefly yesterday, but I want to emphasize them one more time. As I walk away from Galatians, big picture, this is what I would guess Paul would say were the big things he wanted to accomplish here, in addition to what you said.
Okay.
Strengthen the church, help his friends. That's implicit. Number one, Gentiles don't have to become Jews to become Christians.
Absolutely.
Okay. Number two, he wanted to clarify the purpose of the law. He wanted to make sure no one got the impression that God screwed up and did a bad job on the law, but rather the law did exactly what it was supposed to do. The problem wasn't with God. The problem was the misunderstanding on the part of people to imagine that the law served a purpose it does not serve, could not serve, was never meant to serve, that the law was not designed to save, but that it was this teacher to teach us about God, man, and to point us toward Jesus. Fair enough?
Absolutely.
Number three, I think he wanted to communicate what the new family of faith was about. Everything up till this point was ethnic gods, regional gods, local gods. Your God is like your local football team mascot, kind of in a way, and never the twain shall meet. Like, you're not going to go worship Jupiter if you're Jewish. Like, what the heck? Like, you're not going to go worship the god of the Alemanni if you're from Egypt. Huh? Like, they're ethnic gods. Just everybody has one. Whatever. Paul is doubling down on what the Old Testament makes clear, and that is that I am is the God, the maker and sustainer of all things, and that the new family of faith is what was always supposed to be in place, and it transcends ethnic boundaries.
Okay.
You'd say it different?
It sounds like what you're getting at is that this was always for everybody.
Well, that was a lot quicker and better. I mean, okay, I'm going to tally that one on the Jeff side. You win point 3. Point 4, Christ alone, faith alone, grace alone. I mean, a lot of that stuff sounds like the 5 solas of the Reformation.
Sure.
But really what the Reformation was trying to point to was, hey, a lot of stuff has been added here in terms of you doing things. It's slowly encroached. Maybe it was with the best of intentions, but you do not earn right standing with God. Works do not earn you favor with God. You do not work off your bad behavior. It is the work of Christ plus nothing. Obviously, that's the clown hammer. That's the thing that Paul just hits again and again and again through the whole thing. Christ alone, faith alone, grace alone. It was that way for Abraham. It's that way for you.
Yeah, I don't think all the reformers would have said it as nicely as you just did, but yeah.
I don't think Catholicism was as nice back then either.
Yeah. What I mean is, if you look at the tone in Galatians that Paul is taking with the Judaizers, I think sometimes Christians ought to take that kind of tone when somebody comes in and starts changing the gospel around to be Jesus plus something.
So you think I am being too nice?
Not necessarily. I think there's a time to be nice and a time to be forceful. Paul needed to be forceful.
I don't want to be soft on this. I don't want to be gentle about this. It's just not that I'm really arguing against anyone. To me, it's so explicit in the text, in Romans and Galatians, in the whole Bible. As you and I discussed in our last little bonus episode thing, it is possible from any Orthodox biblical Christian tradition to get Christ alone, faith alone, grace alone wrong, and to instead believe that our own good, precious little boy, perfect behavior is what gets us right standing from God. We got to that mistakenly as young men from an evangelical Bible church background.
Totally.
I've seen other people get there through the high church. It is the most tempting heresy for all of us to embrace for all of human history.
Totally agree.
So it doesn't matter what institution is saying it. If this is what's being taught, reject it vocally, and reject it on the grounds of Scripture. In Christianity, you do not earn salvation. Is that a fair absolute statement?
I would say so.
So if something is branded Christian, but in it the central tenet of salvation is that you earn it, is it Christianity?
No, it can't be.
Agreed. Let the reader understand. The clown hammer point has been re-clown hammered. Okay, so we got 1, Gentiles don't have to become Jews to be Christians. 2, clarification of the purpose of the law. 3, the whole idea of the new family of faith, or to use your turn of a phrase here, it was always for everyone. 4, Christ alone, faith alone, grace alone, the clown hammer point, the big point, the important one. And I don't know why I put it 4, but that's just where it is. 5, what happens after that? This is what we were talking about when I was telling you about how I feel lately, the life by the Spirit thing. The book just isn't about how to become a Christian. It's about what happens now. What do you do? What are we doing here?
Agreed.
I was going to say this is implicit, but I think it's explicit. I think the final big theological theme is there is a true version of the gospel and there are true representatives of that. Listen to them. There are many false versions of the gospel and there are representatives of that. That isn't Christianity. That isn't the church. That isn't the gospel.
And it shows up a lot in the New Testament, just to be on your guard against false teaching.
Yeah. John, in his epistles, talks about just not even receiving false teachers. Don't give them hospitality. A lot of these things that at first glance might just seem like people being really nitpicky and wanting to fight about church things and being pedantic. And I understand that a knee-jerk response to that can be, come on, we just need to get along. Let's not fight about God stuff. Like everybody's got their opinions or whatever, but the things that really matter if you look closely at what the Bible is saying, what Paul is saying in places like this. They matter because they strike at the heart of who God is, at the heart of the whole point of the whole exercise, and you basically rewire the whole thing and wreck the whole thing if our understanding of the cosmology of everything is that God is a better version of us, but he needs us. And together, through our partnership and our great effort and achievements, God is then made able, thanks to our contribution, to redeem and to save. Okay, that is a fundamentally different proposition than the deal that the Bible holds out, which is God is the God of everything, the ultimate, all-powerful, unlimited God of everything. And that comes with certain implications. Paul seems willing to go to the mat over that.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that we might have missed going through that list is how much Paul accentuates the concept of freedom. It is for freedom that Christ set you free. I think a lot of the negative stuff going on with the circumcisers and the Judaizers and all the stuff that we were talking about Jesus plus one, like that's critical and we should be critical of it. But the flip side, the positive reinforcement here is be free. Enjoy life in the Spirit.
Okay.
I have a final thought.
Offer it.
We made it through this entire recap episode without a single circumcision joke. I just want you to know I'm proud of you.
Aww.
You've matured.
Yeah, well, it cuts both ways. You haven't either. So compliments to both of us, I guess. Nice job, man.
Well, you're a sharp guy.
You're a monster. Okay. And with that said, it's time to call this thing a wrap. 300 episodes on the book of Galatians. We just did that, you and me. That's crazy. You are owed a congratulations, and you are owed a ceremonial internet high five. I'm not giving it to you just quite yet. First, let's reflect on this for a second. Think about where we were on our knowledge of the book of Galatians 300 episodes ago. I don't know about you, but I understand it a lot better now than I did 300 episodes ago. And I kind of thought I understood it 300 episodes ago. Ha! That was humbling. Also, I learned more stuff about Roman history and the book of Acts and all the other places that Galatians extended out into. And of all the weird things, I learned a ton about first century Turkey and Asia Minor. And I had fun, and it was cool, and you all are great, and thank you. And hey, as best as we could do it, we went out on a mission to get Galatians in our hip pocket, and I think we have Galatians in our hip pocket. So here you go. Internet high five to all of you in 3, 2, 1. That was it. That is not a normal high five. That was a very hard-earned high five. And there's a lot of meaning behind it. And sincerely, congratulations, because you leveled up, and I did too, and you helped me do it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This was awesome. You know what? We should just do another one starting on Monday. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. We're just going to flip around and start Philemon as I'm recording this, starting on Monday. So I hope you'll come. I hope you'll bring a friend. And I'm very excited to go and get another book of the Bible in my hip pocket with you. Thanks for doing this with me. Y'all are awesome. I'm genuinely, humanly very, very thankful to you. And thanks to my friend Jeff for everything that he does behind the scenes to make this go as well. And with that, now, officially, completely, we're calling it a wrap on Galatians. One more high five on the way out the door. Boom. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Let's do this again soon.
Final episode of Galatians on the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Come on now.